My name is Dorota Lech. I run the Discovery section at this festival, and it is my honor to be presenting Céline Sciamma's Portrait of a Lady on Fire as part of our special presentations. To begin, we would like to acknowledge that tonight's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit Nation and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community. This film is eligible for the Grosh People's Choice Award, and you can vote for as many films as you like in the festival at tiff.net/vote. We would like to thank MK2 Mile-End, Neon, and MK2 Films for providing us with Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and thank you to Unifrance for their generous support. Céline Sciamma was born in Pontoise, France. She studied at Paris's Le Fémis. Her films Water Lilies and Girlhood screened at the festival, and Portrait of a Lady on Fire is her latest feature. It is the winner of both the Queer Palm and the Best Screenplay Awards at this year's Cannes Film Festival, and is an exquisite portrait of hidden love, art, eros, and my personal favorite, the female gaze. You are in for an exquisite journey. This is truly my favorite film of the year, and it is a great honor to call to the stage Céline Sciamma.
Thank you. This already feels very exotic. It's truly amazing to be here. All my films have been, not all, but I think 2 of them have already been here in Toronto, but it's actually my first time. And it's kind of scary because so far, without me, it went really well. But this film is so important to me, and so it felt right to come right now to meet you guys. My amazing cast is here, and you will meet them for this Q&A that you have the opportunity to have, and you'll be totally in love with them. That's why so far you're not meeting them. It'll be better. So Desire is all about delay, so I could talk a lot, you know. And that's the movie, that's the slow burn you're gonna see. But it won the best screenplay, so you know you're not gonna get bored. Even though it lasts 4 hours. So I don't know if the Guinness Book person is in the room, because I'm supposed to be on the record of the longest introduction ever. Orson Welles has it. No. I'm gonna stop. I'm really happy and emotional, actually, to be here. This room is amazing. This is one of the most beautiful theater I've ever seen in my life. I've done the sound check in the afternoon, and I was blown away by my own film, which means it's really, really good. The room, I mean. Hopefully the film, and you will tell me. I'll be back, and I wish you a very great screening. Thank you.
Mélanie Merlant.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
I'll give everyone a moment to catch your breath and think of your own questions. I know the first time I saw this film, I literally laid down on the ground and cried in front of a large audience. So Take your time. But I'll start by asking you, Céline, how did the idea for this film come about? How was the film born for you?
Well, the first desire was to write a love story, a film dedicated to love, centered around a love story, a patient look at how a love desire is born, how it grows, how it flourishes, but also the memory of a love story and what is left, and the politics of love and the philosophy of love. There was also the desire to work with Adèle again, the desire to meet somebody new also and to start a new collaboration, and the desire to speak about women artists. That was a lot of desires. It took me some time to find the right balance and the right structure. But yeah, that was it.
So in addition to directing the film, you wrote it, and I think it's so interesting that it's a period piece, but also it could be in modern times. What was your decision around setting it in 18th century Brittany?
Well, 18th century, well, Brittany was another decision, but the 18th century, well, I wanted to, it's a very special period in art history for women because there were a lot of women painters at the time, which is not known, which I was ignorant of also. There were hundreds of them, and they had careers. There was also feminist art critics, and you know, we always do as if the rights and the opportunities for women were in constant progress, but it's not true. We actually can see it today as we are living and having a cultural battle around women's opportunity, women's rights, post-Me Too, blah, 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 and we definitely can feel the backlash. So at the time, there were several of them, and they were then erased from art history, so it was a cool setting to talk about that, and also to show one of these women. That's why we decided to invent her, not to do this biopic thing by taking one of the stars. You know, didn't want to make this portrait of a strong woman, just wanted to make a portrait of a woman at work. And also we decided to set it in the past and to actually invent an original story, not an adaptation, because, you know, what should be contemporary is the film. The film what should be contemporary. Contemporary is not what you're looking at, is how you're looking at things. And a story that hasn't been told is pretty much actual, is pretty much needed.
Adèle and Noémie, I have the same question for each of you. How did you prepare for these roles?
How did I prepare? The preparation consists a lot of how to be a painter. So I work a lot with Hélène Delmer, who paints it was not me. I'm left-handed and Hélène is right-handed, so I was trying to. But I paint some but it was more contemporary paintings. So I work a lot with her about the look, the gaze of the painter, who is really particular, I think. So about the rhythm, the gesture, all of this was a big preparation, but then the story between Héloïse and Marianne, we didn't work together before the film. We created everything during the shooting, and that during the moment, the present moment, and so the gaze were real.
And first, thank you all for your warm applause. It's really moving. And well, I prepared both on a technical and on a philosophical layer. No? So I'd say on a technical layer is basically learning the line, so to say. And on a philosophical layer, I would say I tried for this character to build a character that would not be a psychological person, but more like someone who's created because of the gaze that once stared at him, at her, actually. That's me. So I just thought that maybe I could try to separate 3 phases through the film. So one would be more like so I could like create kind of a traveling between being an object and actually becoming a subject in the look of someone else now. So, well, this involved a bit change of quality of acting, but well, this is kind of inner kitchen. So, well, I don't know if you understand anything, but I worked before.
But your relationship really developed so gradually. Did you film in sequence? The story, was it filmed in sequence?
Do you mean chronologically? No, not at all. We began with shooting all the exteriors, so all Brittany. And I feel like I'm saying Brittany like Britney Spears. Each time I'm saying Brittany, I'm like not saying it right. Well, homeland of Britney Spears. So as you can see, the exteriors go throughout all the film, and so they first they don't know each other, and then they have this passionate sequence on the beach. So it was actually not at all chronological, and we had to. That first moment was actually where we decided of the level of sentimentality and of emotion of the film, and they didn't really know each other. But we were very brave.
I'd love to take some questions from the audience. If you raise your hands up high, I'll repeat them after you, even if you're in the balcony. It's really hard to see. Yes. The person who said there's one right here. Hello.
Well, I've always been a collaborator, but...
The question for Adèle is, how does it feel to be a muse who turned into a collaborator?
No, but I think it was first to Céline, the question, but...
I think we would answer the same thing, so you can answer. As we are collaborators.
Yeah, so now I have to reach the same level. No, well, I don't know where... Actually, I'm lost, Céline. You have to help me.
Well, one of the manifestos of the film is actually to get rid of this idea of the muse, which is a nice word that actually hides the participation of women in art history. The muse is this fetishized, silent woman who's inspiring just because she's beautiful. And we know that even though for a long time women opportunity were to be models, these models were in the room, they were co-creating, they were they were one of the brain in the room. So, of course, the goal was to actually portray that and to make a love story with equality and a love dialogue and a creation dialogue with equality. So, in the process of the film, she actually. Of course, there's a process in becoming this brain, but it's because, we have to take you into this process. But on the set, I think also the movies always reflects the way they were done. And the politic of the set was that there was no muse, and not only Adèle, because the movie was written thinking of Adèle in that part, but it was also written thinking about all these new collaborations, the DP, Noémie, of course, and the circulation of the brain. The set was quite cerebral. That's the project of how we do cinema and what we want to portray in cinema.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I would just add that it's a way of thinking also of art that would not be just linked to fatality or in a vertical feeling, you know, directly like from the artist to the great idea or to God or whatever it is. So it's just like how, because of this horizontality and this discussion, we are creating art layer after layer. So I don't know, I think it also has to do with this thing. I don't know, no? Oui.
You seem to know.
Yeah.
Any hands in the balcony? Yes. Sorry, can you speak a little louder?
Actually, Orpheus was the last thing that came very late in the writing. I mean, it was the last thing that I crafted and wrote, the last idea that I had. That's why it ended the writing, actually. That's why I thought the script was over. Mostly because I thought it talked a lot about the film, because it's where the two timelines, the memory of a love and the present of a love, actually get contaminated, because she sees these images of a ghost, and she's actually haunted by the last image that she will see of her, which also talks about our love stories, because I think we are always obsessed with how things are getting started and how they will end. So eventually we are always haunted by the last image of a love story. And also because it's about reinventing and revisiting the myth, and from a feminine perspective. And the other day, someone in the audience says, the myth of Eurydice, whereas it's always the myth of Orpheus. So I thought that felt complete. And also, you know, I really wanted these women to have this intellectual dialogue and to have their opinion, their hypothesis. And so Orpheus allowed me in several moments of the film to actually stress different points. My English is definitely broken. Yeah.
I have another question for you. You've been talking so much about politics, and you were one of the really early signatories in France of the initiative to have 50-50 representation of women in cinema by 2020. Can you talk about your politics in France and what you recommend for people here in Canada?
Well, I can't recommend anything from Canada. We should be looking at you guys and then get inspired, especially with this festival. You know, the Toronto Film Festival, because with 50-50 we actually built a pledge that's been signed by several festivals. First was the Cannes Film Festival, and then several festivals throughout the year. And the Toronto Film Festival was the only festival that added things to the pledge, because it was already totally up to date and really added other criteria to the pledge. So I'm not going to talk to you about the French politics, because it's going to be boring. It's like talking to you about the 70s. So thank you. We want to hear your politics.
Listen, I want to thank all three of you so much for being here. This is, like I said, I think the most beautiful film of the year. I hope you can all tell your friends and family to see it. It's still showing 2 more times at the festival. Congratulations, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And please vote.
Thank you.